officially have a quorum, and it's 8:02, so we will call the 83rd, is this the 83rd or 84th? I guess 84th. 84 Metro Area Transit Coordinating Board meeting to order. First item is some introductions. And first off, Sarah, I believe this is your last official MAT board meeting, so we want to recognize that and thank you for your service and your passion for transit. It's been much appreciated. And also always appreciated that we usually got a 2-for-1 with you because we had your baby with us for a number of meetings, so it was always kind of good to have a dual vote from you. So thank you for your service.
Thank you, much appreciated. He's eating Cheerios right now.
All right, and then I don't know, is Ed Pearl on? I know that he was going to be Ed here on the call.
Ed, are you there? Well, I don't see him on the call, but I hear static, so might be trying to call in. But Ed Pearl is the general manager for First Transit. He replaced Joseph Rivera and has been here for several weeks and doing a very good job, and we're happy to have him on board.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get going on our agenda. First item is the September 9th, 2020 meeting minutes. Hopefully you've had a chance to review those minutes. And if so, at this time, entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
Chair? This is Brian. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with one change. I was at the meeting.
Okay.
I was present. And the minutes show me asking a question, so I'm assuming I was there.
All right, we have a first.
I'll second it, but I do have a discussion item on it. On item 2, action item, it says that we approved the January 2019 minutes in September of 2020.
All right,
I'm just questioning the date of those minutes that we approved the last time we met.
Yeah, those are that's probably a typo. That we'll fix those two things.
Okay.
All right, we have a first and second with the noted additions and changes to the minutes. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. All right, the next item is 2B, the draft public transit agency safety plan presentation. Jordan, nice job on the 90-some pages of presentation there. Oh, Jordan, you're on mute.
You're mute.
Can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Kevin. It was definitely a team effort. Thank you, Sean and Taryn, for stepping in when I was on leave and getting some of that done. So I will start. I'll share my screen here. Everybody got that up?
No.
There it is.
There we go.
Alrighty. So our MATBus safety plan. So why do we create a safety plan? Well, like a lot of things we do, we're told we had to do it. But our public transportation agency safety plan, it's designed to be a risk-based safety management system approach. Our agency safety plan to be in place July 20th of 2020. However, due to COVID, that was extended to December 31st of 2020. So here we are today presenting this to you, and then we'll move it on to our city commission and city councils for approval. Our safety plan roles, the plan does include both cities of Fargo and Moorhead. You see there for Fargo, the accountable executive is Julie, chief safety officer is myself. City of Moorhead, the accountable executive, Dan Molly, chief safety officer is Lori. Our contractor also plays a very large role in the safety plan. They have their own safety manager that they hire in-house, and then they do all of our driver training. So as you'll see, an exhibit on our plan is their complete full plan. So if you do like long reads, that's a good one. Our key activities of our safety plan. We have our safety committee, which is made up of 11 members. Those 11 members consist of our MAP-BUS leadership, contractor staff management, dispatch, maintenance and building supervisor, and then obviously our bus operators who are out on the road every day. Safety meetings. So our contractors have monthly safety meetings with all the bus operators. So our safety plan will be involved in that quite a bit. And then our all staff meetings for our administration staff here at MAP-BUS. Elements of our safety plan, top management commitment to safe operations, responsibility and accountability of all employees, clearly communicate our safety goals, and then safety assurance and performance measurement for improvement. Bottom line is it comes down to safety culture. We're trying to create a culture of safety so that everyone feels comfortable reporting things and talking about safety issues so that we can reduce those safety events. So because it is a risk-based safety management plan, we have different steps to mitigate that risk or our risk management. So our first is our hazard identification, where we're going to identify hazards, be it on a route or in one of our facilities, at one of our, shelters, things like that. It does require non-punitive reporting. So no employee will be disciplined for reporting any type of safety incident or safety occurrence. However, if you blatantly are disregarding a safety regulation or safety policy or doing something illegal, obviously then we have the grounds to have some disciplinary action. But our recording and our collection of data is also, it also protects the identity of anyone reporting, so people don't feel like they're going to be singled out if they do report. That is all done with their identity protected. Safety risk assessment. So once a hazard is identified, we go through and assess that risk to see its potential consequences. And then once all the risks have been assessed, we prioritize them based on our matrix that we use. And then safety assurance, just going back and making sure that our numbers are improving, that our measurement, the numbers that we use for our measurements are going the right way, and that our safety plan is operating as we intended it to operate. Mitigation, identify hazards. Maybe some hazards have an acceptable level of risk, or it requires some type of mitigation to bring it to an acceptable or tolerable level. So with those measurements that I mentioned, how we are going to measure ourselves and how we're going to see how successful our plan is and how successful we are. There's a couple different measurements that were required. Injuries, fatalities were required ones. As you see there, we're going to report the total number of injuries and also the number of injuries per 100,000 vehicle revenue miles, both for our fixed route and our on-demand repair transit service. That is required by the FTA to report those numbers. We have injuries, fatalities, safety event, which is any accident, incident, or occurrence, and then our system reliability, which is our mean distance between mechanical failures, and then also our PM compliance there to make sure that we're getting our maintenance inspections done on time. And then our safety culture, we're going to track our number of hours that staff is getting for safety training. We'll do safety surveys, and then how much of our staff is reporting, is taking part in our safety plan, so we can gauge their participation. And then if we need, the specific targets are outlined in the safety plan itself. So then finally, the FTA obviously wants us to make sure that we're using this information to make ourselves better, to make improvements. So by integrating these results, we're committed to using the data collected information learned to inform decision-making and instill positive change. And the main objective is continuously improve the transit system safety. You'll see our recommended motion there is that the MAC Coordinating Board approves the proposed safety plan and recommends the advancement to Fargo Commission and Moorhead City Council for approval. So if there's any questions or comments, I can definitely take those. Nothing? Perfect.
So Jordan, question for you: Does this plan need to be reviewed by on a federal level? Does anybody come in and audit that plan and make sure that it has the elements and requirements? Will that be something that would at some point get passed, so to speak, or approved by anybody besides the cities?
Yeah. So the plan was sent to FTA, and they provided their feedback on what was missing and what they would like to see added to the plan or changed in the plan. Those revisions have been made, but they do not do any type of final approval of the plan. It's up to our local jurisdiction to approve that. And then they will obviously, when we do a triennial review, they will look at our plan, and then they will go back and say, they will want to see documentation that we're doing what our plan says we're doing. So as far as an official approval from FTA, no, there is not one.
Okay. Any questions from the board for Jordan? Okay, if not, I believe that the recommended motion is that the coordinating board would approve this plan and recommend that it be advanced to the cities of Fargo and Moorhead for approval.
This is Sarah. I'm happy to make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a first and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Great job, Jordan.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on our agenda item to 2C, which is an amendment to the 2020-2021 Joint Powers Agreement for the Metro Senior Ride. Lori. Oh, Lori, you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So the City of Moorhead Transit Department received a CARES Act grant as part of the COVID-19 approach, and decided to use those funds to match state grant funds, and so that's why we went fare free back in March, and so. Without the local match coming from farebox revenue, we're using CARES Act money. And so all of these two agreements are doing, all the amendments are doing is saying that we don't have to have a local share match because we're going to be using CARES Act money. So it's just substituting the local match for the federal source of funds. And so the amendment to the Joint Powers Agreement is just on how it's funded. And same with the item D with the transit services agreement with Dilworth. After March, when we went fare free, then Dilworth isn't paying a local share match to the Route 6 bus service that travels to their city. Rather, the CARES Act money is making that local match. So those are all that's all that is for that amendment is changing those numbers.
So both action items 2C and D are the same thing, just different entities, so to speak. But.
Yeah, different agreements, but basically the same kind of thing.
Same for the CARES Act. Okay. Then at this point, then, any questions for Lori from the board? Okay, hearing none. Lori, you'd like a motion to approve those amendments?
Yes, please.
All right, we'll entertain a motion.
This is Brian. I'll make the motion.
So first by Brian.
This is Steve Lindahl. Second.
Second by Steve. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. All right, that took care of items 2C and D. We'll move on to the informational items. 3A, update on the RFP for driver services. Julie and Lori, there is an attachment for that.
Yes, this is Julie. This is the first time I've done the whole share thing, so bear with me, please. Let me get my. I had it all pulled up here. Look, is that showing up?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
You want me to try it?
Yeah, if you could, please, that would be great. What? Okay. I can see it. Can everybody else?
Looks good. Okay, I'll just move them forward for you, Julie.
Okay. Can you do it so it's a slideshow?
Yeah, I can move each slide.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. Well, okay. As you mostly are aware, because several of you were on the evaluation committee, thank you, by the way. I know it's an arduous process, but we need to do it for driver services. So we went out for requests for proposals early this fall, and we ended up getting back 3 proposals. The one from First Transit, one from National Express, and one from Halcon. And if you could advance, Lori. There we go. Pardon me, my screen was lapping over the presentation. So the evaluation team interviewed all 3 companies. They were all within fairly close range of each other, with the exception of one that was quite a bit more than the other 2. But we decided to interview both of them. And knowing that what our budgets were and what they were proposing, we requested revised proposals from each of the companies to get us closer in line with what we needed to be. These are how the rankings came out. So what we did was we took the evaluation team points, summarized them and averaged them. And as you can see, First Transit came out with the highest number of average points, and they were ranked first ahead of National and Halcon. This table, I don't want it to appear to be overwhelming because it's not that bad. What we did, the middle one, the middle column that's highlighted in kind of a beige color, that's First Transit's revised dollar figure that we have been working with them on. The other figures for First Transit, National Express, and Halcon are the original price proposals. And this is for a 2-year agreement, which would start January 1 of 2021, go through December 31 of 2022. So just bear in mind, you're looking at 2 years worth of dollars there. And so First Transit, through some of our negotiations, has come down in some of their dollars, which has been good. And we're very close to being within our budgets as well. Can I go ahead, Lori? So the evaluation team decided to recommend the award to First Transit to the governing bodies. So the Fargo City Commission approved the award on November 2nd, and the Moorhead City Council approved the award on November 9. Under the caveat that the terms of the contract are still to be negotiated by staff and legal counsel, and we will bring it back to elected officials of both cities for approval by their governing boards again. There's a few key areas that are being negotiated that were identified by the evaluation team. The First Transit offers safety bonuses and incentive bonuses. So the cities are taking over the incentive and awards as a pass-through bonus. But we need a clear definition on what these bonuses are and set them up. So First Transit would ask the cities before giving incentives, like a hiring bonus based on market needs. Sometimes, as you're all aware, the market here is a little bit tough, so they may offer an incentive to get people in the door. We would discuss that and pre-approve that as it is a pass-through bonus. One of the other issues was we decided to lower the training wage to $15 per hour. There's 120 hours of training for each new hire. So they would be paid at the $15 per hour on that. and then they would go to the regular starting rate, which is on a slide just a couple down. One of the other ones is inclusion of the newer version of DriveCam, which is it's a camera system actually that's set off by certain G-force. So if you have a sudden turn, a sudden stop, there's an accident, something along those lines, the DriveCam will trigger and record whatever period of time it needs to record. This new DriveCam has a collision avoidance system in it. Some of you may have those in your vehicles. So if you're drifting a little in your lane or there's an object that's coming into your lane, it will alert the driver and they can correct whatever behavior they need to correct to hopefully avoid any type of collision. So the final discussion on that is the cities, we're looking at taking over the DriveCam licenses in the future. So right now, First Transit owns the system, is proposing it as part of their proposal. But after the 2-year contract period, we would want to look at, not necessarily do, but take over the licensing in the future. And back to the training real quick, we have, like I said, we have 120 hours of training. That's 40 more hours that we do currently have. So normally the incoming drivers are getting 80 hours of training. Under the new contract, they will be receiving 120 hours of training. And we're just looking to make sure we've got a clear understanding and breakdown of what those hours will entail. For example, behind the wheel, are there more in classroom? It can be for each driver. Maybe it's something that definitely they require more behind the wheel than the other driver. So it's nice to have those extra 40 hours to be dealing with. The incentives and safety program, these we've got a new operator sign-on bonus, which is $500. First Transit could increase that up to $2,500. Again, based on demands of the recruitment needs in the market as it stands right now in the area. There's an employee referral bonus program, which is both the existing employee and the referral employee would be able to receive these bonuses. After 60 days, it's $500, and after 180 days, another $500. And the hope is retention, of course, there. Safety bonuses, these are the pass-throughs to the cities. It's $50 a month for our full-time drivers and $25 for part-time. If an employee is able to get each quarter, so 3 months make up a quarter, if they're successful in each of those 3 months, they get an additional $100 for full-time or $50 for part-time. And then the last would be their incentive bonus that we'd be able to offer to the drivers. And that's $50 a month for the full-time employees. Part-time employees are not eligible for that particular bonus. But back to the full-time, if they, again, get the 3 months within a quarter, they get an extra $100. And what some of those incentive bonuses are, would eligibility requirements to be no verifiable passenger complaints or incidents, perfect attendance, clean uniform, completing, returning paperwork, no ADA violations, and a few other criteria. So just so you know what it takes for the drivers to achieve those bonuses. Okay, and so DriveCam, that was one of the main negotiating points that we wanted to make sure everyone was aware of. So the First Transit costs do include us purchasing and installing the camera system. Employee wages, again, the training wage would be $15 an hour for that first 120 hours when they're training. The average driver wage is $20.53, and the starting wage is $18.60. So while they're training, it's $15 an hour, and then they'll go to $18.60. The highest wage, which we do have several, maybe not several, but probably 4 or 5 drivers that are here and have been here for 25 years or more, and they're going to be at $22.96 under the new contract, January 1. Part of the management fee that First Transit has, we did in the proposal request 2 additional staff be added for management. And we did get a proposal from everyone. First Transit they proposed a classroom instructor and an additional road supervisor, both of which are desperately needed. So they're included. So at this point, the negotiations are nearly complete. Just a reminder that each city will have a separate contract, and the new contracts will be starting this coming January 1st, 2021, and go through December 31 of 2022. And there are 3 one-year options that we can choose to exercise at the time, should we need to do that. Happy to take any questions, myself or Lori. I apologize, I didn't want to get too long there, but you do have a memo that gives you a few more details as well. But any questions?
Mr. Chair, this is Sarah. I don't have a question, but a comment.
Sure, Sarah.
So thanks for a fairly brief presentation. Julia actually has looked at this was all the binder. Just a lot of information, and I know I'm preaching to the choir in this group as there's so many layers of complexities that create the seamless operation for MapBus, and I just really want to say thanks for the team that pitched in and evaluating everything, but also just to call to this group to say this relationship and this contract is so critical for the success of MapBus, and also for just all of the relationships that are tied up in this endeavor. And so I do hope that we're able to meet, that this group's able to meet Ed soon too, and really honor the agreement here and make sure that it's successful in providing a service, and also positive morale for the drivers, but also the rest of the team for MapBus. So just super appreciative for all the in-depth knowledge and all the complexities that go into this decision. So just want to really draw attention to that. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I'm wondering if Ed Pearl, have you joined us yet on the call? No, apparently not yet. Sorry. Mr. Chairman,
Julie,
I
this
think
is Paul
I'm
Buchanan.
Oh, okay.
I'll be hearing, yeah. Maury Gibbons is on the call too. So we do have 2 other First Transit employees that are on the call. Paul Buchanan is our regional, vice president, Paul?
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, and Maury's the business manager? So they're the part of the team who's been negotiating.
Yes.
Other questions for Lori or Julie? Okay. Well, again, thanks everyone that was part of that decision. And Sarah, echo your comments. Really a great job. It's a very complex thing that we do, and really appreciate the professionalism that you bring forward to making that great critical decision. So thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to item 3B, which is an update on our transit development plan. Michael.
Yeah, I'll be fairly quick. As everybody here knows, MapBus is engaged in, MapBus and MetroCog are engaged in its 5-year update of the transit development plan. We have enlisted SRF with subconsultant AECom in order to do this work. The SRC actually just met and has gone over some of the initial public engagement that has occurred. We are still doing that public engagement. We have a public meeting scheduled for, I believe it's Thursday at 5 o'clock. So it's kind of just an online public meeting, since everyone's kind of stuck at home for COVID and public gatherings are not recommended, that we're trying to have an online presence. However, We will be doing kiosks throughout the community with kind of some transit information on it, as well as kind of some sticker exercises that you could kind of do some voting on what kind of options that you'd like to see the map bus kind of engage in. And this is more of like the one-seat ride versus transfer kind of discussions, or frequency versus reach, or service area. So some of those kind of high-level discussion areas. We're also engaging stakeholders. We had an initial round of stakeholder engagement last week. However, we will be reaching out to specific entities in the upcoming future to sit down and talk, and some of those might be like Senior Ride and Valley Senior Services. So we will be reaching out directly and having kind of a quote-unquote sit-down meeting, or a video meeting with them. And then kind of the next phase that we're going to get into here in the winter is doing some stop analysis. One of the recommendations of the last couple TDPs was to implement sign stops. And now we're going to evaluate those sign stops and some of the amenities that are at each location, and just make sure that there's proper spacing, and or that they're being utilized, and if they're not being utilized, it can maybe be relocated, some of those stops, as well as doing route planning. And some of the route planning we're going to look at is not necessarily tweaking individual routes, kind of like what we did in the last 5-year update, but really looking holistically at service and how we can maybe bring different service types on. For instance, in the last couple of years, Tap Ride has been very successful in both at the NDSU campus and now with providing service to the industrial park. And so looking at those different areas of town that could be serviced by Tap Ride, or that would work, and seeing if we can't implement that as a feeder service to our fixed route system. And then, of course, looking at our hub and spoke system and see where that still makes sense, or where maybe additional frequency, like the Route 15, the high frequency service could be implemented. So those are some of the things that are coming up here this winter. With that, I'll just open it up to any questions. Kevin, the chair, is on our SRC, and as well as a number of other people here. So if you have any questions.
Questions for Michael? Okay, hearing none, thank you for the update, Michael. We'll move on to item 3C, our operations report. I don't know, is Matt on the call?
Matt is not available today, so I'm going to take on that one.
Okay, thank you, Lauren.
Yep. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is year-to-date, January through October's operations report. Okay, didn't want to move. There we go. So as you know, March 23rd, we went fare free because of the COVID-19. And of course, when that first hit, there were a lot of things closed. And you can see on the trend that ridership started going down in March and hit the bottom in April. And then has continued to increase as we move forward. And in August, late August, when the college students returned, it's coming back. And so you can see those trend lines. Paratransit is not moving. A lot of people on paratransit aren't traveling out yet, so that's fairly small. It's still down quite a bit. So year-to-date, Moorhead's ridership on the fixed routes down 11.85%. Fargo's down 34.22%, and paratransit is down 31.09%. So from 19 to 20, so you can see the just the details by these different services. there's the lines by month. And again, even though the college students are back, they aren't riding to the degree that they were before. I'm sure there's many that are online classes or that just don't feel comfortable yet riding the bus system. And I think that's probably our biggest issue right now with ridership is people aren't comfortable with the closeness of having to ride the bus next to other people. So even though we are loading passengers in the back door and we're not charging fares, we are not restricting ridership on the buses either. We're just asking people to social distance, and they're required to wear their masks. And hopefully that will keep our passengers safe. So our revenue hours have not decreased much at all. We have tried to keep the service levels up to their normal level so that people can get to where they need to go, even though ridership is down, because there's still a need out there to get people where they need to go. And so you'll see that revenue hours are maybe slightly down, but not very much. And basically paratransit revenues hours are down because it's based on demand. Since demand is down, revenue hours are down. We did actually add service for a while to keep social distancing to our most busiest routes 4 and Moorhead and Route 15 in Fargo. But we have brought those down to normal levels and actually decreased Route 15 for a little while due to availability of drivers and low ridership, and now have put that back to normal levels again as we approach Thanksgiving and Christmas and shopping season. So we're back up to normal levels of service. Social media, you can see the 2019 green line is much higher than the blue line. Fewer people are checking our social media and calling us and such. Because there's fewer riders. And also, we relocated to a different location while we remodeled the GTC. And October 1st is when we came back to the Ground Transportation Center, to the remodeled facility. And I do encourage everyone to come by when they feel comfortable to see that remodeled facility. It is quite different in how we operate there. We have administrative offices at the GTC, and how we move around and pull out of the GTC is also different. The buses no longer back up to leave and are pulling forward, and so there's a whole different arrangement there as well. So our phone calls are starting to increase again as college students came back, and so they're coming back up again, and actually are exceeding 2019's calls as people check to see what's running and what's not, and ask questions about how the service works. We get a lot of calls about when we're going to start charging fares again. So far, we have said till the end of this calendar year, unless our elected officials, make other changes. So ridership for the Moorhead and Dover Senior Ride is also demand responsive, and so it reflects that there are fewer people traveling on Senior Ride as well. It's down 42.45% from the previous year. NDSU ridership is down 56.37% from the previous year as well. And then we had in the packet is the ridership from the college, all the colleges UPass program, and so that you can see how the colleges are going by college, not just this. So, and I don't seem to have a copy of that in front of me. Okay, so I'd be happy to answer any questions, or Julie could answer any questions you may have.
All right, questions for Julie or Lori? Okay. Hearing none, thank you for the update, Lori and Julie. Any other business that the board needs to address this time? Okay. Hearing none, we will officially adjourn. Again, thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your week.